Grow your practice, grow your wealth, grow your impact. Find out how to spend less time in the dental chair and more time on the things you love.
Let me tell you why I created this podcast, a little bit about myself. My whole goal of this podcast is to help every single person listening to it, learn the tools, the tricks, the business acumen, the wealth knowledge to not only compete with corporations, compete with other dentists, but to create a massive amount of wealth, to impact your family, impact your community, and to have a thriving practice. And so that's what we're going to do during this podcast. I'm going to show you all the things that I've done over my career to show hundreds and hundreds of dentists how to create a tremendous amount of wealth, freedom of time, and margin of money, and just amazing tools. So a little bit about myself. So I married a dentist and got into this kind of industry by chance. And I got married and I was an MBA. I was helping a lot of different businesses. And my wife said, "Hey, will you stop helping all these other dentists and help me for a little bit?" And so I helped her create a multi-million-dollar multi-doctor practice within a few years. And then it was time for me to move on. And so I started spending the next few years, actually it turned into the next decade, plus, helping dentists just completely use their business to thrive. But one of the things I started noticing was there's a lot of financial advisors that would come in to the practice, and they had the best intentions, but they didn't really understand what a dental practice can do. And so what I want to do is I want to show you how to invest inside the walls of your dental practice to create a tremendous amount of wealth and impact. And so that's what I've done. I've spent the last 10, 15 years showing dentists all over the country, literally outside of the country as well, to countries like New Zealand and Canada, Ireland, just how to invest in this amazing practice. So we're going to do that. And what kind of prompted this podcast today is I was actually going through LinkedIn and I came across this post that kind of just intrigued me. And it was somebody who was promoting group dentistry and promoting corporate dentistry, and venture capital should come into the marketplace and take over. And so they were kind of gutsy enough in this podcast to say, or this LinkedIn post to say, "Hey, you should sell your practice to a DSO. And now's a great time to do that," which I thought was kind of comical. And so the justification was that this is inevitable, and that over time that this happened to the medical industry 20, 30 years ago, and that we should allow this to happen to the dental industry, which, by the way, is completely absurd. It really is. But let's just talk about that for a minute. So the idea of, first of all, looking at the medical industry as an example, okay, start thinking about what the medical industry is a mess. I mean, matter of fact, and doctors made this. She's right, though. Doctors made this mistake 20, 30 years ago. They really did. But how many of them today are pulling out of, insurance cases? They're pulling out insurance at actually record numbers. And their goal is to start creating concierge medicine and start creating a kind of honestly to go where dentists are now. That their whole goal is to get outside of the mistake that they made 20 to 30 years ago. And then the idea of this is inevitable. Well, I will tell you that now we don't want private equity firms and venture capital coming in and taking over the industry. So when I started thinking about creating this podcast, and I'll be honest with you, my intention was to show all the things that you guys need to know so that you can compete against these corporations. Because if you guys learn these tools, to be honest with you, they don't have a chance. If you learn what I'm going to teach you in this podcast, they don't have a chance. I'm going to teach you all the things you need to know, because one of the fundamental problems is right now in the marketplace is when you start thinking about creating wealth using a dental practice, the first thing most dentists go for business advice, they go to their accountant. And I'm not knocking CPAs. I mean, they're well-intentioned, but here's what I want you to understand. They're great for taxes and they're great for looking at expenses, but they don't know how to invest inside the walls of a dental practice. That's not really what they're there to do. Okay, they're not there to help you invest within the practice. Matter of fact, they didn't even go to school for that. I went to the University of Florida. There's a Fisher School of Accounting and the Warrington College of Business. I have to let you know they're not even in the same building. I don't think they even let us talk. And so I need to understand that accounting is a completely different discipline than business. And so when you start asking your accountant about business advice, you're going to get accounting answers, which is to reduce expenses. Well, then when you start thinking about investing inside the walls of a dental practice, when you start talking about investments, most people go to financial advisors. But I also need you to understand that most financial advisors, they take a 6 and Series 7 and 63 and a whole bunch of other numbers, but they don't know how to invest within the walls of a dental practice. I mean, it's completely different. They They don't know. So they tell you to invest in mutual funds and you got a dental practice doing 30% and you're going to shove your money doing 5%. It completely makes no sense. And so, the other thing is, well, all I have to do is wait till the age of 65. And I've got this complete fallacy that at 65, then I'll be able to ride off in the sunset. And like, there's this image of that, you go to dental school for 2 years, you become 4 years, you go be an associate for 2 years, you start a dental practice. And at the age of 65, this big dump truck full of cash like backs up when you sell your practice, and you can kind of picture the image of just like all this cash pouring out, you ride off into the sunset. But see, we know that's not true because according to the American Dental Association, 95% of dentists have retired with less income than they had when they were working. 95%. And one of the reasons why is the advice is not there to help the private dentists out. The advice has actually always been bad. I mean, it's the great advice is more needed now than ever, but the information's always been kind of bad. And what I mean by that? What do you mean it's always been bad? Well, the first place that someone's going to tell you to put information. I mean, so first place, you meet with a financial advisor and you say, hey, listen, I want to create wealth. Okay. Where's the first place a financial advisor is going to tell you to put money? Well, think about that for a second. Where's the first place a financial advisor is going to tell you to put money? 401k, right? So the idea is, so as a small business owner, let me help you understand this. The number one need you have, the number one need is access to capital. I just need you to understand that. Matter of fact, that's not even small business or just dental related. All businesses, the number one need is access to capital. So think about this. Why would you ever lock up your money for 20 to 30 plus years? Like that would just be bad advice no matter what. Now, on top of that bad advice, if you wanted to use that money for whatever reason, you have to understand there's a 10% penalty. So as a business owner, you're taking your most precious asset, which is cash. You're locking it away for the next 20 to 30 years, right? And then you have to pay a 10% fee if you want the money back, which is completely absurd. Now, what they'll tell you is, well, it makes sense because you won't have to pay taxes on the money now, and you'll have to pay taxes on it when you retire, but don't worry, your tax rate will be lower. Now think about that for a second. If your tax rate's lower, what does that mean happened to your income? It means it went down. So you mean to tell me that if I work with you for the next 20 to 30 years, you can guarantee you'll lock up my cash for the next 20 to 30 years, I have to pay a 10% fee to get that money, and then on top of that, my income will go down? Now, compound on top of that your assets will go down too. It's like, Dr. Smith, don't worry, your income's going to go down, but so will your assets. And that's really what someone's telling you. And if you actually look, it's kind of funny. If you look at what financial advisors do, everyone, by the way, passes at age 95, which is kind of comical. And the number one goal of retirement is to not outlive your money. Like, how amazing is that? Like, that's the number one goal, is to not outlive your money. And matter of fact, financial advisors intentionally put you in something called a death spiral. They put you in something called the death spiral. And what does that mean is that, so let's say you have $1 million practice. Okay, you have $1 million practice and you wanted to replace your income. So you want to retire. Well, let's look at what that actually looks like. Let's not listen to financial advisors. Let's look at reality. Reality is that if you had $1 million, the average person takes 30 years to save $1 million. Like, I need you to understand that. 30 years to save $1 million. Now, if you had $1 million, and let's just say that you get 5%. So you get 5% rate of return. But by the way, in retirement, that's pretty like really good, okay? Because you have something called a preservation of capital strategy, which is basically means I don't want to lose my money. And so you put it into large cap stocks like Home Depot and Coca-Cola and Apple. They don't have tremendous, they don't have great rates of return, but they're stable. You don't lose your money. We might put it in municipal bonds, which get 3 or 4%. But so let's just say we got 5%, which would be, by the way, really good. But let's just say you got that. That's $50,000 a year. So that means to replace your income, if you're $1 million practice, you're making somewhere between $150,000 a year and $300,000. That means you need between $3 to $6 million a year to replace your income. How many dentists are saving between $3 to $6 million? I want to tell you like less than 5%, which is why the American Dental Association has been telling you for so many years that you have a 95% chance of retiring with less income than you make today. And what I want to do is I want to change that, guys. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to change that. I wrote this book. It's called Dental Wealth. Inside this book, I need you to understand that I actually have written all this down for you. You don't have to kind of write this down or memorize it. I'm going to come back to you every single week and give you notes and give you new formulas and techniques on how to grow your practice, how to create wealth, how to look at real estate, how to invest inside the walls of your practice. I was just sharing an example with someone the other day. I showed him how to invest in one operatory. And we were able to pay off their $1 million building within 6 years. See, it's actually true that you can invest, you can actually grow your practice and reduce debt at the same time. You heard it here first, right? You can actually grow your practice and reduce debt at the same time. And by the way, you should be doing that. That's what smart business owners do. They know where to invest the capital to make the right decisions, and then they know how to pay down debt. And really, what's this all about? Like, why do we want to do all that? Listen, by the way, I have to tell you, yes, I've made a lot of doctors wealthy, and I can show you how to create a tremendous amount of wealth. But really what I want you to do is I want you to be able to get out of the dental chair. I want you to be able to do the things that you always wanted to do. And whether that's go have impact and having charity and impact your family, I want you to be able to have autonomy, because let me tell you this much. If you have to be in the dental chair 4 days a week, are you an employee or are you a business owner? See, if your hygienist has to be there 4 days a week and you have to be there 4 days a week, except she doesn't deal with all the stress that you deal with. So that's called being an employee. And so what I want to do is show you how to be a business owner. Matter of fact, I don't want to. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to be the business owner you've always wanted to be. I'm going to show you in this podcast how to create a tremendous amount of wealth. I'm going to show you how to create the life you've always wanted to have. I'm going to show you how to impact your family and impact your community, and just turn this amazing action. I will show you literally in this podcast how to ethically take every available patient in the market. That's right. How you can ethically take every available patient in the market. I'm telling you that in this podcast, I am committed to keeping dentistry in the hands of dentists. I have made hundreds and hundreds of dentists wealthy, and wealth is being able to do the things you want and impacting a whole lot of people. And that's what this is about. Listen, if you're listening to this podcast today and you do not have my book, you need to go out and get it. Do not wait another second. Matter of fact, I will send you a copy just for listening to this podcast for free. I'm going to include a link. If you go to that link, I'm going to send you a copy of my book. You're going to want to get this copy in your hands as soon as possible. This is not only going to give you a tremendous amount of knowledge, but it's also going to help you keep up with the podcast, because I'm going to go over concepts that you honestly want to know. And so we don't want to kind of go backwards, right? We want to go forward. So reach out to me, get a copy of this book. This will help you kind of go over some of the concepts that I'm going to be going over in the next few podcasts. But we're going to go expand upon that. I'm going to show you how to, look at marketing, capital investments, wealth, real estate, systems, procedures. I'm going to show you everything to do become a phenomenal dentist. Also, a lot of people, I do workshops. I think you should, as you hear more and more of this information, you're going to want to join me live. I do events all over the country live. I'm going to be in Anaheim next week. I'll be in Georgia the 2 weeks after that. So you're going to be part of that. So listen, make sure you reach out to me. Make sure you reach out to Tyra Leadership on our website. You'll find out some of our dates, and find out our next location. We're going to be reaching out and giving you a lot of information. You're going to want to write this down. I would also encourage you to have a pen and paper available when you're listening to this podcast. Now, if you're driving, please don't do that. Okay? But you're going to have a pencil and paper, because the information I'm going to give you is literally worth millions of dollars. And so you're going to want to have this information. And by the way, do I want you to share it with your friends? Absolutely, you should. Share the wealth, create an amazing practice. Let's stop corporate dentistry from coming in. Let's have a tremendous amount of impact. I cannot wait to be part of your journey. Have an awesome day.